Friends and subscribers, last week marked the day that Bernard van NotHaus was sentenced finally after years and an appeal by the federal government for what they claim is counterfeiting of US money. And here's a photo here of the Liberty Dollar, which is one of Mr. NotHaus's coins that he minted out of his establishment in Indiana. Now, as you may remember, he's also the man who minted and distributed the Ron Paul dollar, which was very popular with people who wanted to get out of fiat currency and get their hands on what is considered constitutional money or silver coinage. And what happened with the courts is that they had mentioned that he was a terrorist, a domestic terrorist, for minting pure silver coins that are real money and should be legal tender. Now, when the feds raided Mr. van NotHaus's business, they took $7 million worth of gold and silver and other property. If you remember, that has not been returned to him, and he was facing a life sentence in prison for what they say is counterfeiting money. But here's the argument here, is that with the Coinage Act, and if we take a look at what the Founding Fathers considered to be money, they had mentioned that no money can be anything but pure gold and silver coins, but they did not mention in the Constitution or anywhere in their writings that a individual could not mint a currency of their own and distribute it. So this was not part of the Coinage Act, and this was not part of really what was intended to be a one source only currency. The Founding Fathers had thought that it's possible and actually probable and acceptable to have competing currencies. They weren't saying that US money was going to be the de facto standard. They were just saying this is the standard for the money that we will create out of the US Treasury. But if you want to mint your own local currencies to compete, then so be it, fine and dandy. So what does this all mean? Well, what happened finally in the sentencing on December 3rd is that Mr. van NotHaus was given house arrest of 6 months, which is a very different sentence than a life sentence that was proposed. What the complaints that Mr. van NotHaus and his lawyers had was that the jury did not have sufficient knowledge of what was going on in the Federal Reserve and what real money is and constitutional money to be able to make a sound decision. The court had presented them with information that would lead them to believe that anything called a dollar was counterfeit, and this is the main argument in the appeal. But it makes us wonder, what is real money? Because how can he be up on trial for counterfeiting money when the Federal Reserve notes and the coinage coming out of the mints is backed by privately held international banks? So in fact, it is counterfeit to begin with. So how can you counterfeit a counterfeit? If it's US notes, then of course there's a major beef there, because it is, you know, constitutional money or sound money. But to make a fake of a fake, that's questionable at best. And the other argument made here was that you know, the jury was presented with the fact that very little of the money in the United States is actual physical paper and coinage. So the damage that could be done by minting these Liberty dollars is limited to begin with. So the argument continues to rage on. What is real money? And people continue to vote with their purchases. As we know, the U.S. Mint is having record sales of American Silver Eagles, and around the world people continuing to acquire gold and silver as their form of savings, and some of them using it as currency, as what we all know ISIS is proposing, to use it as currency. So what is money? it's clear that gold and silver are money and major competitors to the fiat systems of the world, and we'll see how this plays out. But 6 months house arrest, not too shabby for a guy that faced life imprisonment.